Hi everyone, thank you for joining me again for a second interview for Latinx Chats. This time around it's going to be with a really important person in my life, and so thank you for joining us. I will start shortly, so bear with me, but yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting this whole process, and I look forward to connecting with this individual. So let me get started, and we'll dive into it just right away. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you. Hey!
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So thank you for joining. This is Mario Abraham Zuniga. Mario Abraham Zuniga was born and raised in San Diego and Tijuana in the border town area. He went to UCSD for undergrad and received his bachelor's from there, a bachelor's in environmental engineering. And Mario is also my husband. So I thought, why not share his story? He has so much to offer, and I hope it's inspiring for other Latinos that maybe might want to dive into the engineering sector, going to college, and also doing Peace Corps. He did Peace Corps in Cameroon, Africa, and so just kind of once he shares his story, hopefully that's inspiring for others to follow that path. So, welcome again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, can you share kind of where you were born, raised, and then where your family is from?
Yeah. So, I was born in San Diego and lived there till I was about 3 years old, and then my family moved to Tijuana. We were there until I was 10 years old, and then we moved back to. I moved to Chula Vista with my mom and my brother when I was about 10 years old, and lived there the rest of my teenage years.
Awesome. And so your degree again from UCSD in environmental engineering, and
Mhm.
your current job, what exactly do you do now?
So I'm an environmental engineer, which is like super aligned with my degree. But I'm an environmental engineer with the United States Environmental Protection Agency.
Great. So let's dive into it. So let's first talk about your Latinx story. So I wanted to ask you, how was it growing up in both sides of the US and Mexico border?
Um, so that was an interesting experience, just because I think I got to experience living in both countries, exposing myself to kind of both cultures, both kind of rhythms of life. In the sense that, like, I just feel like in the US things are a lot more fast paced. In Mexico things are a little bit more relaxed. Here, when people kind of set meetings or schedule things, everyone's like on time, like, to the point in Mexico is kind of like, oh, we're gonna start the party at 2. The invite is at 2, and like everybody shows up like at 4, 5, or 6. And it's just I just feel like in Mexico too, people are kind of like very hospitable and friendly. Not saying that they're not in the U.S., but
Mhm.
like, for example, if a car's broken down in the road in Mexico, I just feel like the locals will kind of go there to help you out. I've just seen those a lot more of that in Mexico, and maybe because of California, people don't do that as much.
Yeah.
But it's just those kind of the things that are very different. Going to both school systems was also quite the experience. I feel like in Mexico it's very strict. We all had to like wear uniforms, have like a certain haircut, and in the US, we still had to have uniforms sometimes, not in high school, but in Mexico you did. But in the US, it was like a lot more relaxed in that sense, and it wasn't as strict, I think. in Mexico you would get beat up if you like if somebody asked a question and you had the wrong answer, sometimes or didn't do the homework or weren't your like uniform wasn't clean, they would do stuff like that. In the US was nothing like that. It was a lot more chill and relaxed.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
And so, how did that also kind of impact your sense of identity?
Um, Jeez. So that's a good question. I feel like we can spend the rest of the hour talking about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up in both countries definitely impacted my sense of identity because I feel like even though I'm Mexican American,
Mhm.
when I'm in the US, I really sometimes I don't feel very American, or sometimes when I'm in Mexico, I don't really feel very Mexican.
Mhm.
And it's just because I've been part of both worlds, and that definitely has its pros because I feel like I can fit in both countries, but at other times it's like there are still some experiences where I feel like I kind of don't belong. It doesn't happen all the time, but
Mhm.
sometimes.
Mhm.
But I think it's been kind of like challenging at times, I guess. For example, when a lot of times when we do surveys and they ask us like, "Oh, where you're from?" It's like most of the time I answer U.S. just because I've been living in the U.S. for most of the time, but culturally, I feel like I'm definitely raised Mexican, so I definitely feel like more part of that culturally, and
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And to tap into kind of that culture side of things, so what are you most proud of your Latinx culture and why?
I think I'm most proud of the kind of Latino, just definitely music, dance, food, but also kind of like this sense of that we're all there for each other. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like even within the Latino community, even if people are from like countries that are super far from each other, there's still kind of like this kind of like Latino family and sense of
Yeah.
family. You can be from countries that are like, I don't know, Mexico, and then you have like Argentina, super far from each other, not even close. But the people still feel like it's easier for us to feel like we're family and stuff like that. I feel like it's
Yeah.
easier for us to understand each other, and uh, and I'm just that's one of the things that I'm really proud of being of as a Latino, and also definitely like the music and dance. I know it's a huge part of Latino culture. I mean, I learned to dance out of like all the freaking quinceañera parties we had. I have two older sisters, and they each had their quinceañeras, but then their friends would have quinceañeras, or my friends would have quinceañeras, and my cousins. And so I feel like, there was definitely a lot of partying, a lot of dancing. And then so I kind of see that as part of like the Latino culture, just like I don't know,
Celebrate.
partying and celebrating life. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And who would you say in your life motivated you and why?
So I feel like a lot of people have motivated me at different points of my life. I mean, at times it's been some family members, some friends, colleagues. I've had coaches. Um, I attended therapy once in my colleges, was like definitely very influential and motivating. But I
Mm,
think, I'm not gonna start even try to mention all the names because it's a lot of people, but I do want to kind of highlight the impact my dad and my mom have had on me.
yeah.
On my mom's side, I mean, she was always super loving. My parents divorced when I was 10 years old,
Mm,
and she went through a lot of difficult, um, I guess, went through a lot of challenges raising. At first, it was just my brother and I, but then it was at one point it was my sisters as well. So it was four of us, and she was raising us as a single mom. That was a
mm,
huge challenge for her, and she definitely did her best, and you could tell she was just like a lot of the things that she did was like out of love, and I look up to her in many ways,
yeah.
but she definitely motivated me a lot just through her love. And then my dad, he influences me a lot too because ever since I was little, he always had a kind of like big dreams, and one of his big dreams was like building this huge house in Mexico, and he did, and it took him
Mm,
a really long time, and he did it through a lot of hard work. So I think ever since we were little kids, he like taught us, to really kind of fight for your dreams and give it your all and never give up on them. And I thought that was super cool because I think it's kind of motivated me throughout my whole life to kind of know what my dreams are and go for them and you know put in all the hard work and kind of go through those challenges, because there are going to be challenges, and I was able to see that through the challenges that he was facing. So I think in that sense, he just helped me so much in kind of having that drive, I guess, to not only dream but like to fight for my dreams.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. And so let's kind of dive into your education journey. So in regards to education, so why did you decide to go to UCSD? And also why did you decide to study engineering? Because I know engineering is really, really, really tough.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a funny story actually, because I was top 4% of my class in high school, and we were pretty much guaranteed admission. Yeah, I was a kind of good student, and we were guaranteed admission to the UC system. So I knew for sure that if I applied to the UC system, I was for sure gonna get accepted. So knowing that, I applied to what I thought were the best schools. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna get a guaranteed admission, I'm going to apply to the best ones. And also Berkeley, UC Berkeley was my dream school for a while. So I applied to Berkeley, I applied to UCLA, UCSD, and I also applied to Irvine. The first three I was like, for sure I'm going to apply to those. The fourth one I was like, I don't know, because I applied to four because I'm like, I was from a low income family, and I was when I filled out the application, I could apply to 4 universities for free. So that's what I did. I just said, I'll just apply to 4. We'll see what happens. I actually got rejected from all of them except UCSD. So, which is kind of funny. But I mean, UCSD is a really good school, and but really that's kind of why I went to UCSD. I wanted to, first of all, attend a UC school because I know it's challenging. I felt like it's harder to get into UC schools, and I felt like I would also be surrounded by kind of students that have that were quite ambitious, I guess. Just knowing that it's really hard to get there, I knew that, or I kind of expected there to be more students that had kind of an idea of what they wanted, but also that were more ambitious. And that, at least that's the thought I had going into UCSD. And the reason why I did engineering is because I've always been really good at math. It's just one of those things that like I could do really easily. And also science. I was ever since I was a little kid, I was really interested in science and physics. And then since those things kind of came easily to me, I did some like personality tests and stuff, and they recommended I do engineering. I was like, well, that pays really well. And then I also learned about environmental engineering at the time. This was, I guess, growing up, I joined this, it's a student org at the high school called Earth Service Corps. And there in that part of the organization, we would kind of do projects where we'd like do beach cleanups or plant trees, or there was this one activity we did where it sounds kind of mean, but we kind of helped close a business that was selling tobacco to minors. And we were like undercover kind of, yeah, we were kind of like undercover customers. We were obviously not 18 at the time, and they sold tobacco to us. And we wrote a whole report and stuff like that. But anyways, this organization, we tried to kind of promote sustainability and care of the environment. And I really liked the work that we did, and that's kind of where my kind of love for the environment kind of grew out of. And so I wanted to do engineering, and that's kind of what road I took in a way. That's why I did engineering, because of like it was easy for me, it was going to pay well, and the environmental part of it was just because I found it really fulfilling that, I'll be working for the rest of my life, like taking care of the planet where we all live. And it's in a way I would be helping everybody, not just humans. I would also be helping the animals and the plants. And, being the nature lover that I am, I was like, oh, that's kind of like the perfect thing for me.
Yeah, someone actually asks here, Playando Juntos asks, how did you feel post-grad?
So I think if I understand the question, so just after my experience at UCSD, I mean, obviously I felt really good, but I also did it for purpose, and I think we're going to get into that after this discussion, but one of the reasons also why I went to university was because I really wanted to do Peace Corps. Ever since I found out about Peace Corps, I was like, I'm going to do that. And that's also one of the reasons why I went to college. Honestly, I wasn't super excited to go to college. I was more excited to do Peace Corps. And I kind of, how a lot of us are basically like, oh, you definitely need to get educated, get an education, because that's going to prepare you for the rest of your life. But to me, even though, I listened to folks and I was like, okay, yeah, I should get an education. Doing the Peace Corps to me was huge. And in order to do Peace Corps, you have to have a bachelor's degree.
Got it.
So yeah, graduating from UCSD, I felt awesome because I was like, okay, now I'm ready to take that next step. And I need that, I would probably have a good shot of getting pretty decent jobs as a result of graduating from a good school and with an engineering degree.
Yeah. Awesome. But so going back to kind of your UCSD experience, how was that as a Latino? Just kind of your journey through UCSD. Did they provide a lot of services and resources for you as a student?
Yeah.
Like how would you describe that?
Yeah, so when I started at UCSD, it was kind of, I felt a little bit similar to the way I felt when I came to the US, in the sense that like I just felt like everything was new. I felt like I had kind of like this language barrier that when I went to UCSD, I did speak English, but it was not the greatest. It was pretty poor. I had to attend like remedial English writing classes, and since I would be talking to friends and these folks some of them come from, well-to-do families, speak really like proper English and stuff. And here I was, just talking slang English all the time and stuff. And so it was a challenge because I had to, kind of learn the language a lot and develop it. And it was also similar in the sense of like when I came to the US when I was a little kid, folks would make fun of me pronunciation and stuff like that. And at UCSD was kind of similar, but I was a little bit used to it. So I could handle it a little bit better. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just learn how to pronounce things better, or like just learn different words and stuff. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I think also what was really nice was that there are a lot of programs at UCSD that help students like me succeed. For example, there was the Oasis program that was really amazing, and they have this program called Summer Bridge where they help students transition from their high school experience to the college experience. And for folks like me whose parents didn't attend a school here in the US, that was super helpful because I got to meet a lot of students that were like me, but also they exposed us to a lot of different resources out there that can help students like me. Whether that was like through academic assistance or just different organizations to make me or help me feel more at home there at UCSD. For example, I was part of SHIP, the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers at UCSD, and I was part of like other student orgs. And in programs too, there's the California Alliance for Minority Participation, which is like a research program that I was part of. And there's just like a lot of programs out there that if you don't look for them, you won't know of them. But luckily, I had good mentors at college, that kind of came from Oasis that were able to kind of show me the different resources that are out there. And I think that definitely helped so much. Kind of, be at student UCSD and do the things that I did there, be involved in different programs and stuff like that.
Awesome. Someone asks here, and that was by Juliana. She asks, what do you think was your hardest challenge in UCSD?
Honestly, I think the biggest challenge was moving away from my family. And I think that was a huge challenge because, prior to that, I have lived with my family the whole time. And then I moved out of my house. And there at the house at the time, there was my both of my sisters, my brother, and my mom. And for a time, we also had my grandma when she was kind of sick. And I think,
right?
What that?
So you guys were in San Diego at the time.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't move far. I moved maybe 30 minutes north, but it was just that experience of like, being independent kind of thing. It's really nice because I can literally do whatever the heck I wanted, but it's also a challenge because you kind of have to learn how to like be an adult. And I mean, at UCSD doing engineering, there was a lot of challenges there. And even though I had my family close by, I kind of at the time I was in my mind I was a little bit rebellious and I didn't want to reach out to my family that much because I just wanted to like fully immerse myself in the university. So I didn't want to go back home, and so that was more of like a challenge I kind of created for myself to try to be a little bit more independent, and that was quite challenging. I think one of the challenges that came from that was a challenge kind of identity. I think at that time I kind of didn't really cherish or kind of value my Mexican identity that much because I feel like at UCSD, at least the experience I had, it was I don't know, it was like just didn't feel like focusing a lot on my Mexican heritage there could really help me push myself forward in a sense. I don't know. I just felt like there was this kind of conflict where I was like, well, first I was taking remedial English classes. And I was like, I really need to learn English, and I was also part of this college where we studied world history for 2 years. So it was 6 classes and it was a lot of reading, a lot of writing. And so I noticed I really have to improve my English and my writing skills. So because of that, I just felt like I really needed to immerse myself in like the American culture and language and stuff like that. So I think that was a big challenge for me. Kind of in a way, in my mind, I was kind of giving up some of my Mexican roots and heritage in a way, so I could kind of succeed at UCSD. It's kind of how I saw it.
Right?
Yeah, and fit in a way. Yeah. So that was a bit of a challenge. And yeah, so I think fitting in, trying to fit in, and in a way kind of giving some of myself up. That's how I felt at the time, and that was a big challenge.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. So let's tap into post-grad life and you going to Peace Corps. So can you maybe talk a little bit about, first off, for those that don't know what Peace Corps is, what that is all about, and then kind of share why did you decide Peace Corps?
Yeah, okay, so Peace Corps is an amazing program where you are invited to a foreign country by the federal government for 2 years to work with local leaders on development projects. That could be either through education, you can be a teacher, you can work at a clinic, you can also work in youth development or helping businesses grow. There's just a lot of different sectors you can kind of focus on. But yeah, you spend 2 years in a developing country. Usually you're kind of by yourself in a community, meaning like you're the only American there. And so you really do have to really immerse yourself in there, to be effective. But yeah, I would recommend it to everybody. But what was your second question? Sorry.
Yeah, so why did you decide to do Peace Corps?
Oh, so honestly, I think the answer to that question kind of stems from my experience since I was like a little kid and my upbringing through my mom. Ever since I was a little kid, she kind of really instilled this idea of serving the world and kind of using whatever resources we have to help those who are not where we are, who could use some help to kind of be where we are. And the reason why I wanted to do Peace Corps was kind of like that, because I felt like, I'm blessed to be born where I was born, and, have so many resources and opportunities. I know that in other parts of the world, it's not like people choose where they're born. They're kind of just born wherever they are, and they have less opportunities and least resources. So I kind of wanted to spend a good time of my life trying to bridge that gap, but also understand other cultures and have them understand us, because I'm kind of one of those people that's kind of altruistic, when I feel like, all of us humans, we're the same in one way or another. And I feel like sometimes we just get caught up in like those little differences, and we start like arguments or wars because of like these small differences that we have. And I don't know. It's just one of those ideas that I have that I really feel like if we all understood each other better, there would just be way less conflict in the world. We would all have way better lives, be way happier, and be more like a family. So that's just been really important to me too. Just trying to kind of increase that sense that we're all like really just part of this bigger family, that we all are
So
kind
we're
of
all
human.
citizens of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And so, okay, so navigating through Peace Corps, how was it for you as a Latino? Any pros, cons that you can maybe share?
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, Peace Corps, really, all the volunteers are made up of folks from all types of cultures and socioeconomic status. So it's pretty diverse.
Yeah.
But coming in as a Latino from like relatively low income family, it had its well, I guess a lot of pros in a way, because I mean, for example, in Africa, I just feel like I could relate a little bit better because where I was raised in Tijuana, it wasn't like definitely the wealthiest place at all. So I think it was easy, somewhat relatively easy for me to kind of adjust to the life out there. But also I think one thing that was really nice was folks know that a lot of Latin music and dance kind of has some roots from Africa. So that was really nice. You know, as I was saying before, from all the quinceañeras, I kind of learned how to dance. So then there I am in Africa. You know, there's a lot of celebrations. I mean, people celebrate a lot of different things, and it, you know, they would have a lot of parties, a lot of dancing, and I, you know, I can kind of dance, definitely not like them because there's super good dancers out there, but you know, I could kind of dance. So I guess where I volunteered in a village of like 800 people or so, I was the fourth volunteer there, and I was the first volunteer that could dance like that. You know, that's a little like them, obviously not exactly like them, but a little like them. And so that was quite the experience, because I felt like, at least in the dance floor, I could in a way just like I don't know, just dance with them and dance, like pick up some of their moves. And I remember one time I was dancing with them, and they were kind of shocked. They're like, "Oh, you're American and you can dance?" And I was like, "Yeah," but like, you know, I did mention to them I'm Mexican too, and like, you know, in Mexico we dance a lot. They're like, "Oh yeah, like that's really cool." And there was this one man, like every time I dance, he would be like, "Oh, Mexican boy," and like, I don't know, stuff like that. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
But also another thing that I think helped me just being a Latino was like, again, this sense of like family. Because over there, like everybody was a brother or a cousin or an uncle. You know, some people call me Uncle Mario or brother or cousin. You know, even though we're obviously not part of the same family, I feel like family was very valued there where I was, and I feel like in the Latino culture we value family a lot. So that was really nice too, that I felt like it was easier for me to kind of feel like I was part of them and like a family in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So someone asks here, Clayando Juntos asks, how did you manage money working at the Peace Corps or being part of the Peace Corps? So how did you go about doing that?
So yeah, that's a good. I'm happy she asked. So or he. So when you do Peace Corps, the federal government pays for your flight there and your flight back, but they also give you a monthly stipend. So I was getting paid around $300 a month, which does not sound like a lot here, and it's not a lot here, but over there, like I was chilling. Like, I mean, I did not struggle at all. I was in a tiny village of like around 800 people. And $300 over there is a good amount of money. I mean, I was making more than most of the people there. And it was definitely enough. I mean, there were some folks that maybe used a third of the money that Peace Corps would give them every month. And then the rest they kind of just saved. So by the time they finished Peace Corps, they had like a bunch of savings. Because, I mean, over there, food was way cheaper, transportation way cheaper, everything's way cheaper. I mean, I was paying maybe, I think, $30 a month for rent, and I mean, it was a very kind of humble home. You know, I didn't have running water inside, I didn't have electricity all the time, but yeah, life was way cheaper. So yeah, what Peace Corps gives folks is usually more than enough to be, relatively comfortable, I guess. With you kind of live like the people there, so you kind of just have to get used to that too.
Yeah. Can you just
Yeah.
share a little bit about your experiences while having to go to the community like market and shop for that, and how that was somewhat similar to like shopping in these like mercados like in Tijuana, or like in these like areas that we're
The
used
superheroes?
to?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, it was nice because there's a lot of regatear, like a lot of haggling. You go there and I mean you're trying to buy like I don't know a pencil, and somebody's like you ask them how much is this pencil, they'll be like oh $20, and like especially because of me, like I cannot blend in an African market. Obviously I'm not from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would always give me like these ridiculous high prices. But I don't know, after some time you kind of get used to that and you learn how to like work with the people.
Yeah.
So I would give them a ridiculously low price. Would be like, "Oh, you're crazy! Like, I'll give you 1 penny," and then you'd be like, "Oh," and like pretend like they're all offended, and then they would give me like another high price, and I would just like again give them a ridiculously low price. And it was a lot of haggling, and we were all pretend that we're mad at each other. But in the end, whenever we got to a price that we both agreed on, it was like, we'd be like, ah, yeah, and like agree to it and like exchange and like sometimes give each other hugs and stuff. But it was really nice. It was like I kind of saw it as like if it was like a novela or like a soap opera or
Mm,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, just because it's like it's like a very flavorful life and like it's very extreme sometimes, and you kind of have to get used to that.
Hmm.
Because otherwise you'll just be freaking out the whole time. Because when you go to the market, it looks like everybody's mad at each other and about to start a fight,
Yeah.
but really they're just heckling. So yeah, 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 that
So
was pretty cool.
that came in handy for sure. You growing up kind of in that border town, San Diego and Tijuana, and having kind of that experience and be able to apply that while in Peace Corps in Cameroon,
Yeah,
Africa.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, great. So, can we maybe now dive into your career journey and what that looked like for you? So you work for for EPA, right? So the Environmental Protection Agency. So essentially, what does your job entail exactly?
Yeah, so I work as an air permitting engineer. So what
Mm-hmm.
I mainly do, I review permits for facilities that pollute a lot, and we just make sure essentially that they're following all the federal laws and requirements,
Mm.
so that they have whatever equipment they need to have to make sure that they're polluting the least. And that's essentially what I do in a nutshell. I mean, there's the good thing about the EPA kind of feels like in a way to like high school, where there's a lot of different things you can do.
Okay.
For example, I've also been like involved in emergency response, where
Similar
for
to
the
FEMA.
yeah, similar to FEMA. So when I was in Atlanta, there I was able to help for emergency response to a few hurricanes out there. So I was in Puerto Rico for after Hurricane Maria. We were collecting hazardous waste there. Here in the California wildfires last year, I helped as well. We were also collecting household hazardous waste out here, so I helped a little bit with that. No, I wasn't on the field. I was more on like the administrative side, just tracking all of our resources and stuff like that. But
Mm.
that's an opportunity that's also there at the EPA, and there's a lot of different things you can do at the EPA. I mean, the EPA does so much. So many different things. So it's kind of nice that even though I have my main job as an air permit specialist,
Mm-hmm.
I can get myself involved in other things. Like, for example, recently I got involved in the US Mexico border program. And that was really nice because being Mexican American, I was like, oh, this is me. This is, I can speak both languages. I was working with both the Mexican government and the governments here in the US to just kind of discuss the different programs going on around the border region to
Mm.
improve the air quality and stuff like that. So that was really interesting as well.
Nice.
But yeah, there's a lot the agency does, and that's a good thing that even though I have my main job, there's a lot of other things I can get myself involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so why did you choose to work for EPA though? Like why EPA, not some other like governmental office?
Yeah. So the reason why came to the EPA was, well, first of all, because I started environmental engineering, and ever since I was like a teenager, I was really interested in working in environmental things, but I was also working in the interested in working in the government because I just knew they had really good benefits, and one of the things that I always thought about was kind of job security. You know, I think the only reason why the EPA would be gone, it's like if for some reason the U.S. government ends, you know, like it's very unlikely, at
Yeah.
least during my lifetime. And for companies, you know, it could happen. There's that risk. So that's one of the reasons why I was kind of attracted to the federal government, just because of job security in a way, good benefits. As an environmental engineer, there's pretty good pay, but also just because the EPA does so many different things that, you know, if you get bored of one thing, you can just change to another department and then just do something else. So I can essentially stay there for the rest of my life, just do different things, move from one area to another, and never really get bored. And also, like, the people that work there are most of the folks at the EPA are like very environmentally focused. And that to me was really important because I was going to be surrounded by people kind of like-minded that really care about the environment and are really passionate. And honestly, that's one of the kind of the things I value the most out of the EPA. It's just like the people I work with are super like-minded, really care about the environment, and have like a really huge heart, you know, just for taking care of people and people's health, which to me matters a lot, and to my coworkers too. So it's just really nice to be with those type of folks 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone asks, how do you get informed of what jobs are available and where to apply? So I know that there are job websites that people can find these government jobs. So like USA Jobs and some others that maybe we can kind of discuss. I know LinkedIn has a lot of really awesome postings all the time. So I don't know if you had something to add to that.
Yeah, so I've also involved myself a little bit with hiring, or like kind of promoting jobs at the EPA. And so yeah, I mean, you touched on it. The main way to join the EPA or any federal agency is to go to USA Jobs, and you can make a profile there, set up notifications. So if there's any particular job you're interested in, you can set up those notifications. If there's a specific place in the US where you want to work, you can set up notifications for that place, for that position. But the US also has positions all over the world, in different embassies. So there's really opportunities everywhere. So that's kind of neat too with the US federal government. They can kind of work anywhere, and there's a lot of different opportunities. There's a lot of different agencies that focus on a lot of different things. So I would suggest to folks that are interested in working in the federal government to just go to USA Jobs, set up a profile, and set up your notifications. One thing to note though is that the federal government does take a pretty long time sometimes to respond to you and your applications. So just be patient. It is getting into the federal government can be a pretty competitive process, or is pretty competitive, because whenever we have an open application, I mean, we literally have hundreds and hundreds of people apply. So it is pretty competitive, but I think it always helps knowing somebody in that agency, and if you can contact the hiring manager directly, and maybe they can give you some hints on things to maybe put in your resume, some buzzwords and stuff like that that could maybe help your resume. So definitely, not only set up a profile, but also try to get in touch with folks that work there, and you know, see how you can make your application stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you for sharing that. So now this part of the segment, I always like to incorporate something fun and a way to get to know you at a deeper level. So, so we're gonna play a game. So this game is called Fill in the Blank. So I'm gonna prompt you with some options, and you're just gonna fill in the blank with whatever it is that you desire. Okay. So here they are. So your favorite movie is?
The Gladiator. So I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I really liked The Gladiator, just because of like the historical kind of aspects of it, but also because of like this theme of to like never give up, even when like kind of life throws some really situations your way, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, to just never give up and always keep fighting.
Mhm.
And I don't know, to live by your values. That's kind of what I saw from it. And I mean, the first time I saw it, it is a pretty gory movie, but the action's awesome. But I also liked it just because of like the kind of architecture and the different outfits and stuff. I just thought it was a really good movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite music band?
Coldplay for sure. Yeah.
Coldplay.
And they're
Nice.
just amazing. They have so many awesome songs. So yeah,
Yeah.
Coldplay. Yeah.
Okay. Your special talent is?
Eesh. I would say maybe math, just
Okay.
because I'm really good at math. And I don't know, it kind of just came natural to me. I don't know. So yes, math.
Nice. Okay. And your childhood dream job, it or was?
I actually had a few when I was a little kid. I mean, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, and I feel like a lot of Mexican kids have that dream. But I wanted to be a soccer player. Part of me wanted to be like a governor or like a senator.
Mm,
Um, and and yeah, I think those were the main things when I was a little kid. Yeah.
okay. Nice. Your all-time favorite song?
My favorite song, eesh. It's either Bittersweet Symphony by The Verb or Imagine by John Lennon.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And your favorite trip ever?
Oh, that one's easy. Definitely my study abroad trip to Italy. I was there for 5 weeks, taking a class on architecture. And it was just amazing because like literally part of my class was like to visit like the Colosseum, the Sistine Chapel, the Vatican, and like well, a lot of buildings in the Vatican, Pompeii, like a lot of different ruins. And that was a class, like literally. So
Yeah.
it was just super awesome because we were studying like the history of all of these buildings, the kind of architecture, and I just had a blast. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend study abroad to folks that are interested.
Yes.
Yeah, and I
I
know you did
definitely,
it too, and you loved it. So
yeah, I studied abroad in Spain, in
yeah.
Barcelona, in undergrad. So I definitely also recommend for college students to definitely tap into that option.
Mhm.
Cool. And then what would you say is your favorite food?
Eesh. Does it have to be like a specific plate, or can it just be like mariscos?
It could be a broad category.
Yeah, well, I think mariscos for sure. I mean, I just love ceviche or like aguachile or caldo siete mares. Like, it's just I don't know. I just feel like mariscos are just there's just so many different types of mariscos and they're all like super delicious. So
Yeah,
yeah, mariscos.
nice. We do have a question. Martha asks, did you do your study abroad program through UCSD?
Yeah. So I did. I mean, there's several programs at UCSD, but the one I did, it's called Global Seminars, and that one's for 5 weeks. And they have a bunch of different courses you can take. The one I took was called Mathematical Beauty in Rome, and like I said, it was just amazing because it's
Mhm.
like I was kind of like a tourist, but at the same time I was studying, and like every single place we visited was part of my class. And all of those like touristic trips were like I would grade it on them. Like it was just I don't know, it was just amazing. And I had a lot of fun. But I think a lot of universities have different programs. But I don't know what's the program that you did, Jenny, at SDSU?
Yeah. So at SDSU, I did a program. I got to study Spanish and the culture of Spanish in Barcelona, so University of Barcelona. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities for students. So it just depends,
Mhm,
like whether it's part of your academic program or
mhm,
if it's just something that you want to just go and study abroad and learn different things within that specific place. You're more than
mhm,
welcome to kind of tap into those options. It's just a matter of kind of what your interest is. So I would strongly suggest to ask for info while you're going through your college experience, and really find ways to go about that. Financial aid covers it sometimes. So, so really, coming from us two that have done it, like it's a really cool experience. So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. So we're coming almost to the end of our segment here, and I always want to provide a space for you as a guest to share any advice to our Latinx community that you think would be valuable for them to know about, whether it's your education journey, your career, or just your personal Latinx story as in general, like anything that you think would be valuable to kind of share.
I guess something I would share to my Latino folks, or just, I mean, to everybody, is to never give up on your dreams and talk about them. Like, be very vocal about what your dreams are, because you never know who's gonna be able to help you out in achieving your dreams. It's something that I try to do all the time. I always try to have my dreams in my head, but also I try to speak about them so other people know what they are. And because, yeah, you never know. Somebody may know somebody else that can really help you out in getting where you want to get to. So I would just say, you know, to folks, just be very vocal about where your dreams are. Never give up, and don't think that you have to do things by yourself. There's always going to be people out there willing to help. So definitely, you know, if you ever know somebody, their dreams, do reach out, do help if you can. Because really, I just think life was just so much more beautiful if we can all help each other achieve our dreams. So yeah, that's my message.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you, Mario. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I know there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be, I hope, inspired. And that's essentially why I'm doing these segments. It's essentially to share stories of Latinos and Latinas that are doing just different things, and hopefully that sparks ideas for others, and really encourages others to follow certain paths similar to yours. And if that's the case, definitely find a way to reach out to you, for example, and you be a mentor to them. So so thank you again for your time. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. And to next time. Take care.
All right. Thank you too.